Wow, this one wasn't even close. USC goes up to Corvallis and loses again. But the Trojans lost more than just a game. Welcome to another edition of Trojan Talk. I am Jonathan Khamis, being joined by our USC beat writer Michael Lev. And I mentioned that they lost more than just a game. They also lost Matt Barkley down to injury.
Yeah, Matt suffered a high ankle sprain in that game, and he's obviously optimistic that he's going to be able to come back this week. But high ankle sprains usually take, I'd say, at a minimum 2 weeks. So I'd be very surprised if he played this week. You never know. As we're taping this, they haven't practiced yet. We don't know what the exact situation is going to be out on the field. But my expectation is that Mitch Mustain is going to make his first career start this week against Notre Dame.
So should USC fans be scared? He wasn't exactly impressive last game.
No, I don't think they should be scared at all. I think Mitch is going to do just fine. As Lane Kiffin mentioned the other day, he's done very well every time they've had a scrimmage situation. I think that Mitch is more of a gamer type quarterback than a good practice quarterback.
USC losing more than Matt Barkley. They also lost Dillon Baxter. Now, this situation is still breaking, Michael. News is trickling out every single day. What do we have? What is the latest?
Yeah, as of this taping, which we're taping this on Tuesday afternoon.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
On Tuesday afternoon, Dillon Baxter remained ineligible. And the reason he was ineligible is because he took a ride from a guy who was a registered agent in a golf cart.
What's up with that? Was he just too lazy to walk an extra 10 feet?
Well, he was sick. I mean, he was ill. He was in the hospital Thursday and Friday last week. And when he came out to the practice field kind of late Thursday, he didn't look very good. He looked very pale and glassy-eyed. So I think he was legitimately ill. He took the ride from the guy. The guy turned out to be an agent. So that is perceived as an extra benefit.
Who's also a student. I mean, how weird is that?
It's weird, but I mean, there's no reason that a student couldn't take the test that you have to take to become certified with the NFL Players Association.
But why would this guy want to do that? He's a student at USC. He's also an agent. He knows they're on probation. Why would he even attempt to lure Dillon Baxter? I mean, this guy clearly doesn't care about his school's football program.
He obviously made a mistake. I mean, it was a bad error in judgment, and there could be some repercussions for him from the school, from the state. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen to the guy. His name is Teague Egan. Okay. But I think that by the end of the week, since it seems like a pretty cut and dried case, that Dillon Baxter is going to be reinstated. And based on the way the offense looked the other day, they can use anybody they can get.
And they're going to need a better showing on offense. Michael, let's face it, last week's game was pathetic. They only had 255 total yards. This from a team that's ranked 16th in the nation on offense. What happened offensively for the Trojans? And I know the easy answer is Matt Barkley.
Yeah, well, I'm going to quote a movie for you here. Right. The very end of a great film, Almost Famous, William Miller finally gets his sit-down interview with Russell Hammond, and he asks him, what do you love about music? And Russell's response is, to begin with, everything. I think everything was wrong with the offense in that game at Oregon State. But I think it really starts with the offensive line. That's the tone-setting unit for this offense all year long. Every bad game they've had, the offensive line has not performed well. They have to open up holes for the running game. They have to protect the quarterback. The identity of this team on offense is power running to set up play-action passes. And if you don't have the power running element, you don't have the passing element either.
All right, this season already seems like a disaster to some people because USC is 7-4, but this could get even worse if they lose to Notre Dame and to UCLA. But I don't see them losing to the Irish. I think USC picks up the victory, 21-17. They bounce back. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to take USC again. I know I sort of feel like
you're their unofficial mascot.
Yes, portraying myself as something of a homer here. I'm going to take USC 27-20. Two main reasons. One, USC is now in that position of being the desperate team that's going to play with a sense of urgency, which we did not see last week. Number two, Notre Dame's freshman quarterback, Tommy Rees, will be making his first official road start. He did start away from Notre Dame Stadium last week in New York, but that was a neutral site game. Now he's going to have to deal with the crowd, all of those things. Very difficult for a true freshman.
Okay, finally, let's go to our reader question of the week. This one comes from USC 53. He talks about Oregon State being penalized deep in SC territory on third down, but USC refused, giving up a chip shot for an easy field goal. Had SC taken the penalty, it would have been 3rd and 15. Why didn't they take the penalty?
Yeah, it's a great question. Oregon State ended up making the field goal at that time, and I think it goes back to what happened the previous week. The one kind of thing that USC didn't do well in that game at Arizona was stop the Wildcats on third down. and long situations. That would have put,
Like usual, the third down D, huh?
third down D. That would have, put Oregon State in a third and long situation. They might have been out of field goal range, but I'm not sure Lane Kiffin completely trusted his defense to make that stop. His thinking was we held them to a field goal. That's good enough. And, later in the game, it was a 23-7 game. It was a 2-score contest. So I think in retrospect, that was probably the right decision. But if you're the defense, you can't really like the fact that your coach didn't show trust in you.
Thanks to Michael Lev for all the knowledge as usual. And be sure to check out next week's show. We will be combining Trojan Talk and What's Brewing for a USC-UCLA preview show that you do not want to miss. And for all your latest USC information, be sure to check out usc.ocregister.com. Thanks for watching.